Understanding how the BLS gathers employment data. Understanding the data collection process of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. In a surprising move, President Donald Trump dismissed the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, alleging that the recent jobs report was rigged. Yet he failed to provide any substantiating evidence for this claim. However, former officials from the Labor Statistics Department have pointed out that the commissioner does not typically play a role in the preparation of the monthly jobs report. William Beach, who was appointed by Trump to be the BLS commissioner during the latter part of his first term, stated in a CNN interview, "There's no way for that to happen. The commissioner doesn't do anything to collect the numbers. The commissioner doesn't see the numbers until Wednesday before they're published. By the time the commissioner sees the numbers, they're all prepared. They're locked into the computer system." So, how exactly does the BLS gather data for its jobs report? The creation of the monthly jobs report, officially known as the Employment Situation Summary, begins with a survey targeting American households. The current population survey reaches out to approximately 60,000 households nationwide, with around 2,000 trained interviewers conducting the interviews. The selection of households is rotated periodically, ensuring that no household is surveyed for more than 4 consecutive months. The BLS explains, each month, 1/8 of the sample is interviewed for the first time, 1/8 for the second time, and so on. This rotation scheme has been in use since July 1953 and strengthens the reliability of estimates of month-to-month change as well as estimates of year-to-year change. In addition to household surveys, the BLS also collects data from government agencies and businesses, requesting information about their workforce, hours worked, and earnings data from payroll records. This information is gathered through phone calls and digital submissions. Once the data is received, BLS analysts meticulously review it, ensuring that all submitted information is handled with strict confidentiality as mandated by federal law. When asked to provide evidence supporting Trump's allegations of misconduct, National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett mentioned on NBC's Meet the Press that the revisions made to previous months' data served as the evidence. Trump further claimed that these revisions indicated someone was manipulating the data, suggesting it was done to aid in the election of Kamala Harris. William Beach responded to these claims, stating, "What you saw on Friday was the effect of trying to do a better job, getting more information." Erica Grosjean, who served as the BLS commissioner from 2013 to 2017, echoed Beach's sentiments, clarifying that revisions are not indicative of manipulation. She explained, "The important thing is to realize that revisions are not a bug. They're a feature, right?" The BLS tries 3 different times to get employers to report how many jobs they have, and sometimes the employers can't report it right away. So, the BLS imputes the number from the behavior of other companies like them and historical data. Grosjean added, "BLS puts out the first monthly number because there's a lot of good information in it, but it's not complete. Then, a month later, it goes back and asks those employers again. They have another chance to correct any mistakes. It goes back a 3rd time to ensure accuracy." Despite a decline in response rates to the Bureau's surveys, recent research has shown that these revisions and lower response rates do not compromise the reliability of the jobs and inflation reports. This method of surveying has been employed by the BLS for over 70 years. Interestingly, even with the traditional approach of conducting surveys through mail and in-person interviews, the accuracy of the initial estimates of jobs added or lost each month has improved over time, as noted by Ernie Tedeschi, director of the Yale Budget Lab. Once the data is collected from companies, government agencies, and businesses, and thoroughly reviewed by analysts, it is formatted for the monthly jobs report. This final report includes the number of jobs added during the month, revisions for previous months, the unemployment rate, and additional statistics on job changes across various industries in the economy. The BLS employs this general data collection method for other reports as well, including monthly inflation figures and productivity reports. Commissioners at the Bureau of Labor Statistics are nominated by the President and confirmed by the Senate, often serving across different administrations. For instance, the commissioner appointed by President George W. Bush also served under President Barack Obama. Similarly, Beach, who was nominated by Trump, also served under President Joe Biden, while the recently dismissed Commissioner, Erica McEnterfer, who was nominated by Biden, continued her role under Trump. With the reliability of data now a hot topic, Michael Feroli, chief U.S. economist at J.P. Morgan, emphasized that there is no substitute for high-quality, nonpartisan data from the federal government. He remarked, having a flawed instrument panel can be just as dangerous as having an obediently partisan pilot. Feroli cautioned against the misconception that the rise of private sector big data indicators over the last decade can replace high-quality federal data, stating, in almost all cases, these indicators are benchmarked to federal data, as private sector data are very rarely nationally representative. What are your thoughts on the reliability of the BLS data collection process? Do you believe the revisions indicate manipulation, or are they simply a necessary part of ensuring accuracy? Share your opinions in the comments below. Steve Kopak is a senior reporter at NBC News, focusing on business and economic issues. Contributions were also made by Brian Chung and Rob Weil. The shocking jobs data revisions. What happened? Shocking missteps in economic data can shake the very foundation of trust, sometimes even costing dedicated professionals their jobs. That's exactly what happened when major revisions to U.S. jobs numbers led to the abrupt dismissal of Bureau of Labor Statistics (BLS) Commissioner Erica McEnterfer, an event that's sparking heated debates across the nation. But here's where it gets controversial. Just how big were these data corrections, and what do they really mean about the reliability of one of America's key economic indicators? Let's set the scene. Picture the bustling streets of Arlington, Virginia, in April 2023. Employment signs with QR codes in every business window advertise a hot job market. Yet beneath the surface, federal statisticians are wrangling with numbers that would have massive implications. On August 4th, the BLS released new figures showing drastically revised estimates for non-farm payrolls, the main monthly report that tells us how many jobs were created or lost in the U.S. economy. These figures aren't just routine tweaks. The downward adjustment for May and June, slashing 258,000 jobs from previous reports, stands as the largest such revision outside of the chaotic early COVID-19 months since back in 1979. That number is so significant it immediately raised suspicions and ultimately political consequences. Let's break down what happened and why it matters. First, a quick primer. Each month, the BLS's jobs report gives us an initial tally of how many non-farm jobs were added the previous month, along with updated numbers for the 2 prior months. Why the changes? Because more businesses respond over time, and because BLS adjusts for seasonal hiring patterns, like summer jobs or holiday surges. It's a normal part of statistical work, but the sheer scale this time around made it anything but routine. Here's what you might not realize. In the latest report, June's job creation number was revised downward by 133,000, compared to what was first reported. It's not a fluke either. In 8 of the last 12 reports over the past year, the BLS had to lower its estimate for the net change in payrolls. In fact, this most recent downward adjustment is the biggest since March 2021, when the Bureau revised its jobs gain for that month down by 146,000, just a month later. To put that in perspective, over the last 3 years, the typical or median monthly revision has been negative 10,000. Compare that to the decade before COVID-19, when the typical update actually added 8,000 jobs, and to the long-run average since 1979, when even then, upward tweaks by about 2,000 were more common. Now, here's the part most people miss. The Bureau didn't just revise June's data. May's job count was also slashed by another 125,000 jobs. This marks the largest downward revision for a second estimate, apart from the pandemic years, since June 1983, when March's jobs count was cut by 127,000. Combine those 2 big corrections, May and June, and you get a total downward shift not seen since the pandemic shocks. Normally, when the BLS looks back at 2 months of jobs data, they actually end up increasing the total a bit. Since 1979, the average median change in a 2-month period has added about 10,000 jobs. But this time, the drop is dramatic, raising concerns about what's really happening in the labor market. To drive the point home, look at how these absolute revisions stack up in history. Only 4 revisions have ever been larger, like the whopping increase of over 700,000 in late 2021, or the pandemic plummet of over 600,000 in spring 2020. Otherwise, what happened last week stands out as extraordinary, and this sparks a broader controversy. Should a government statistician lose their job simply because of unexpectedly large revisions to complex, survey-based data? Or does this highlight a deeper issue, perhaps with how employment statistics are gathered, calculated, and communicated? Are policymakers and the public placing unrealistic expectations on inherently uncertain data? So tell us, do you believe these massive adjustments undermine confidence in official government statistics? Or is it just a natural part of continuously improving economic measurement? Let us know where you stand. Should accountability for statistical accuracy lie with individual officials? Or is it a systemic challenge beyond any one person's control? Your opinion matters. Add your thoughts in the comments below and join the debate.